A CEO walked past a black security guard and said, "You're fired, clean out your locker." No reason, no warning, just fired on the spot because he thought the guard looked unprofessional. What that CEO didn't know, the security guard he just fired was actually Samuel Wright, a retired tech genius worth $400 million. And Samuel had the password to the company's encrypted backup system, a system holding $900 million worth of client data. In the next 48 hours, that CEO went from arrogant to desperate. Because when the company's main servers crashed, only one person could unlock the backup. The same person he'd just humiliated and fired. Before we dive into this incredible story of karma and justice, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss stories where arrogance meets its match. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now let's see exactly what happened. Who is Samuel Wright? Samuel Wright was 58 years old. Most people at TechCore Industries thought he was just another security guard who worked the night shift. They had no idea who he really was. 20 years ago, Samuel founded a software company that revolutionized data encryption. He sold that company for $400 million when he was 38. He could have retired to a beach somewhere and never worked another day in his life. But Samuel wasn't built that way. After his wife died from cancer 5 years ago, he felt lost. He didn't need money, he needed purpose. So he took a job as a security guard at TechCore Industries, a growing tech company. It gave him something to do, people to talk to, and a reason to get up in the morning. Only 3 people at TechCore knew Samuel's real background: the founder, the CTO, and the head of IT security. They'd quietly asked Samuel to help set up their backup encryption system. Samuel agreed as a favor. He even volunteered to be the secondary password holder, just in case of emergency. Samuel enjoyed his simple life. He wore his uniform with pride, said good morning to everyone, and did his job with quiet dignity. The CEO, Richard Blackwell, became CEO of TechCore 6 months ago. He was 42, ambitious, and obsessed with image. He came from a wealthy family and believed success meant looking successful: expensive suits, luxury cars, powerful connections. Richard didn't build TechCore. He was brought in by investors to modernize the company and prepare it for a major acquisition. A deal worth potentially $1 billion was on the table, and Richard was determined to close it. But Richard had a problem. He judged people entirely by appearance. If you didn't look important, he didn't think you were important. Security guards, janitors, cafeteria workers, in Richard's mind, they were invisible, beneath him. Richard knew nothing about the company's history, its culture, or the people who actually made it run. He'd never bothered to read the employee files or learn about the systems that kept TechCore operating. The day everything changed, it was a Monday morning, 9:15 a.m. Samuel was finishing his night shift, about to head home. He was standing near the front lobby, checking his phone, when Richard walked in with 2 potential investors he was trying to impress. Samuel's uniform shirt had a small coffee stain on it. He'd spilled some coffee earlier and hadn't had time to change. It was barely visible, but it was there. Richard saw it immediately. In front of his guests, Richard stopped and stared at Samuel with disgust. "This is unacceptable," Richard said loudly, making sure his guests heard. "This is exactly the kind of sloppiness we're eliminating at TechCore." Samuel looked up, confused. "Sir, look at yourself," Richard said. "You're representing this company looking like you slept in that uniform. What's your name?" "Samuel Wright, sir. I work night security." "I don't care what shift you work," Richard interrupted. "You're fired, effective immediately. Turn in your badge and clean out your locker." The lobby went silent. Other employees stopped and stared. Samuel's face showed no anger, just profound sadness. "Sir, with respect, I've been here for 5 years. And in 5 years you couldn't learn to show up looking professional. Security will escort you out. I want you gone in 30 minutes. Richard turned to his guests, smiling. "This is the kind of decisive leadership TechCore needs. No tolerance for mediocrity." Samuel stood there for a moment, then quietly removed his badge and walked toward the security office to collect his things. He didn't argue. He didn't cause a scene. He simply left with the same dignity he'd always carried. For the first 24 hours, nothing happened. Richard forgot about Samuel completely. He was too busy preparing for the final meeting with the acquisition team. The deal was set to close on Wednesday. If everything went perfectly, Richard would get a $10 million bonus and become CEO of the merged company. This was his moment. On Tuesday morning, Richard called an all-hands meeting. He wanted to pump up the staff before the big day. Tomorrow, we make history, Richard declared. TechCore is about to become part of something much bigger, and it's because of decisive leadership and refusing to accept anything less than excellence. Some employees clapped, but many looked uncomfortable. Word had spread about how Samuel was fired. People liked Samuel. He was kind, helpful, and always had time to talk. The head of IT security, Maria Chen, approached Richard after the meeting. Mr. Blackwell, about Samuel Wright. That matter is closed, Richard said dismissively. I will not discuss terminated employees. But, sir, he was involved in our backup systems. Then reassign his responsibilities. That's your job, isn't it? Maria tried to explain, but Richard walked away. He had no interest in technical details. Tuesday, 11:47 p.m., the night before the biggest day in TechCore's history. A massive power surge hit the building. A transformer exploded 2 blocks away, sending an electrical spike through the entire grid. TechCore's main servers, despite surge protection, suffered catastrophic damage. The emergency lights came on. The overnight IT team rushed to assess the damage. By 1 a.m., they had terrible news. The main servers were completely fried. Years of data, client information, proprietary software, all of it was gone. But TechCore had backup systems. Encrypted, secure, off-site backups. Everything could be restored. There was just one problem. The backup system required 2 passwords to unlock. The CTO had 1 password. But the CTO was on a family emergency in Japan and unreachable for another 18 hours. The secondary password holder was supposed to provide the other access code. That person was Samuel Wright. Maria Chen called Richard at 2 a.m. Sir, we have a serious problem. Fix it, Richard mumbled, half asleep. That's why I pay you. Sir, our main servers are destroyed. We need to access the backups, but we need Samuel Wright's password. That woke Richard up. What? Why does a security guard have access to our systems? He doesn't have access to the systems, sir. He has one of 2 passwords needed to unlock the encrypted backups. It was set up 5 years ago as a security measure. 2 separate people have to authorize any backup restoration. Then override it, reset it. Figure it out. Sir, that's not possible. The encryption is military grade. Without both passwords, we can't access anything. And the meeting with the acquisition team is in 9 hours. Richard went cold. What are you telling me? I'm telling you that without Samuel Wright, we have no access to our data. No client files, no proprietary code, no financial records, nothing. Then call him. Offer him his job back. Fix this. Maria tried calling Samuel. No answer. She left voicemails. She sent texts. Nothing. At 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, with the acquisition meeting set for noon, Richard's phone rang. It was the chairman of the board. Richard, I'm hearing we have a server failure. Tell me this isn't going to affect today's meeting. It's under control, sir. It better be. This deal represents the future of this company. If anything goes wrong, you're done. Richard hung up and immediately called Maria. Where is Samuel Wright? I don't know, sir. He's not answering. Find him. Send someone to his house. Do whatever it takes. 2 junior IT staff drove to Samuel's address on file. They knocked on the door. No answer. They knocked louder. Finally, an elderly neighbor came out. Are you looking for Sam? She asked. Yes, it's urgent. Do you know where he is? He left yesterday. Said something about visiting his daughter in Seattle. Needed some time away after losing his job. The IT staffers went pale. They called Maria. Maria called Richard. He's gone, she said. He's in Seattle. I don't even know how to reach him there. Richard's world was collapsing. The meeting is in 4 hours. What am I supposed to tell them? Sir, maybe you should have thought about this before you fired him. That's when it hit Richard. This wasn't just a technical problem. This was a problem he created. At 9 a.m., Richard tried something desperate. He asked HR to get Samuel's emergency contact information. They found his daughter's number. Richard called her. Hello, this is Richard Blackwell, CEO of TechCore Industries. I need to speak with your father urgently. You're the person who fired my dad, she said coldly, for a coffee stain on his shirt, after 5 years of loyal service. Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but we have an emergency. You have an emergency. My dad is fine. In fact, he's happier than he's been in months. He said getting fired was the best thing that happened to him. Freed him from working for someone who didn't value him. Please, I'm asking for your help. We need a password he has. I don't know anything about passwords, and even if I did, why would I help you after how you treated him? She hung up. At noon, the acquisition team arrived. 10 executives, lawyers, and financial analysts. They were expecting to review TechCore systems, verify the data, and sign the final papers. Richard stood in the conference room, sweating. "Gentlemen, we've had a minor technical issue." "Minor?" one of the executives interrupted. "Your entire server system is down. We can't verify any of your data. No client lists, no financial records, no proprietary technology. How do we know any of it exists? We have backups. We're working on accessing them. How long? We're not sure." The lead executive closed his folder. "Mr. Blackwell, we're walking away. This deal is off. A company that can't even maintain access to its own data isn't worth $1 billion. It's not worth $100 million. They stood up and left. Richard stood there, frozen. He just lost the biggest deal of his career. His $10 million bonus, his future, everything. At 2 p.m., Richard's phone rang, unknown number. "Hello, Mr. Blackwell, this is Samuel Wright." Richard almost dropped the phone. "Samuel, thank God. Listen, we need your help desperately." "I know," Samuel said calmly. "Maria called my daughter. My daughter called me. I heard what happened." "Samuel, I'm begging you. I need that password. I'll give you your job back, double your salary, whatever you want." "Mr. Blackwell, do you know why I took that security job?" "What? No, I took it because after my wife died, I needed to feel useful again. I needed to be around people. I didn't need the money. I'm worth $400 million. The line went silent. Richard couldn't process what he'd just heard. Samuel continued. "I sold a software company 20 years ago. Encryption technology. The CTO at TechCore knew this. That's why they asked me to help set up the backup system. I said yes because I wanted to help. I volunteered to be a password holder as a favor." You're a millionaire? I was a millionaire working as your security guard, and you fired me over a coffee stain without asking a single question about who I was. You judged me by my uniform and decided I was worthless." Richard's voice cracked. "Samuel, I'm so sorry. I was wrong, completely wrong. Please, I'm asking for your help." "Why should I help you? You humiliated me in front of the entire lobby. You treated me like garbage. You didn't even have the decency to ask me about that stain, which happened because I was helping one of your employees who spilled coffee while having a panic attack about a deadline." Richard felt sick. "I didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't care to know, and now you're facing consequences." "Samuel, you're right. I was arrogant, dismissive, and cruel. I judged you completely wrong. I'm begging for mercy I don't deserve." The line was quiet for a long moment. "The password," Samuel finally said, "is Dignet It 2019, capital D. That's the year I started at TechCore. It's what I hope to be treated with." "Thank you," Richard whispered. "Thank you so much. Mr. Blackwell, I'm giving you that password because the company has good people who don't deserve to suffer for your mistake." Maria Chen. "The IT team, the engineers who have worked there for years, they deserve better than to lose their jobs because of you." "I understand. I hope you do, because leadership isn't about looking powerful. It's about valuing every person who contributes to your success, even the security guard with a coffee stain." Samuel hung up. Maria Chen entered the password. The backup system unlocked. The IT team worked through the night, and by Thursday morning, all systems were restored. But the damage was done. The acquisition deal was dead. The potential buyers had moved on to another company. TechCore's value dropped overnight. Investors were furious. The board of directors held an emergency meeting Friday morning. Richard was fired as CEO. His $10 million bonus evaporated. His reputation in the tech industry was destroyed. The board reached out to Samuel and asked if he would consider joining as an advisor. Samuel politely declined. "I'm retired," he said, "but I wish TechCore well. It's a good company with good people." Richard Blackwell's career never recovered. News of the incident leaked. Business publications wrote articles. CEO's arrogance costs company billion-dollar deal. He couldn't find another CEO position. Eventually, he took a job as a mid-level consultant. He sold his luxury car and moved to a smaller apartment. One day, 6 months later, Richard was standing in line at a coffee shop. He accidentally spilled coffee on his shirt. He looked down at the stain and, for the first time, truly understood what he'd done to Samuel. He never forgot that moment. Years later, when asked what the biggest lesson of his career was, Richard said, "Never judge anyone by their appearance. The person you dismiss might be the only one who can save you." Samuel spent more time with his daughter and grandchildren. He volunteered at a community center, teaching young people about technology and business. He lived quietly, happily, on his own terms. Sometimes former TechCore employees would reach out to thank him for saving their jobs. Samuel always responded the same way. "I didn't do it for the company. I did it for the people." One young engineer asked him, How did you stay so calm when he fired you? I would have been furious. Samuel smiled. I've learned that how people treat you says more about them than about you. Richard revealed his character that day. I didn't need to do anything except maintain mine. This story spread across the business world as a cautionary tale about respect, assumptions, and the danger of judging people by appearances. Samuel Wright never needed that security job. He didn't need the validation, the salary, or the position. He worked there because it gave him purpose and community after his wife's death. Richard Blackwell needed to learn that leadership isn't about image. It's about character. It's about treating every person with dignity, regardless of their role. It's about understanding that the quietest person in the room might be the most important. The coffee stain that Richard saw as unprofessional was actually evidence of Samuel's compassion. He'd been helping a struggling employee. But Richard never asked. He just judged. How many times do we do the same thing? Judge someone by their clothes, their job title, their appearance? Assume we know their worth without knowing their story. Samuel Wright's dignity wasn't in his job title or his bank account. It was in how he treated people, how he helped others, how he maintained his character even when treated poorly. Richard Blackwell's downfall wasn't caused by a server failure. It was caused by his failure to see the humanity in everyone around him. As Samuel said in an interview months later, respect isn't something you give to people who can do something for you. Respect is what you give to people because they're human. When you understand that, you become truly successful, not just in business, but in life. If this story taught you something powerful about respect and dignity, smash that like button and subscribe right now for more stories about karma, justice, and character. Drop a comment. Have you ever been judged wrongly by your appearance or job? How did you handle it? Hit that notification bell so you never miss when someone learns that respect matters more than image. Thanks for watching, and remember, the person you underestimate today might be the person you need tomorrow. See you in the next story.